Good morning. Happy Waffle Wednesday, even though I don't know how much waffling there's actually going to be today. Let's do a quick check-in on voting scenarios. If you don't want any BB28 spoilers, now would be a good time to scroll on. So here's all of our different scenarios. If we have Jason and Lala on the block together, meaning that Mallory won the blockbuster, Jason will be the one to leave the house. If we have Jason and Mallory on the block together, which would mean that Lala won the blockbuster, again, Jason would leave. I know that there's been some talk throughout the week about a plan to save Jason, and it really is completely dead in the water. Anytime anyone brings it up, it's immediately shot down. Like, that plan really has no legs. I think the only person that still has a little bit of hope left in them that plan can come to fruition is Taylor. So unless something crazy changes things today, Jason has to win blockbuster. If Jason does win the blockbuster and we have Mallory and Lala on the block, as of this moment, Mallory will leave. However, this is our closest vote that has waffle potential, I would say. The problem is, technically, even without Drew and Barrett right now, the icon side of the house would have enough votes to tie the vote. Kamu's going to break the tie and send Mallory home. However, there's a lot of kind of push and pull over on that side of the house on what to do, because Haley can't stand Lala and would love to get rid of her. And then Angela and D both have a close, at least almost close relationship to Mallory on a personal level. They just don't know how much they can get there on a game level. As far as game level, Angela has a pretty good relationship with Mallory as well. It's more so D, and they're also concerned for Devons as well that, she would target them. Now, Mallory has said to both D, Angela, and her own alliance that if she wins head of household, she's not coming after the icons anymore. She will go after Haley, Chuck, and Kamu. So, but the other part of this is that they want to kind of stick it to Drew and Barrett. They want to get rid of one of their little extra people on the side. They really wish that they could do it to Drew rather than Barrett, because they do like Barrett more. And I hope that this is somehow a wake-up call for Barrett of they don't give a shit about you, so do what is best for you. So this is where things are at the start of Waffle Wednesday. Like I said, I don't know how much waffling there actually will be, but this is at least our starting point for today. No overnight update because they didn't do anything last night. Anyone that even stayed up past 10 o'clock was just talking about previous jobs that they've had, just normal life chit chat kind of stuff. So nothing to update you on from last night, genuinely. Let's do a mid-Waffle Wednesday check-in. If you don't want any BB28 live feed spoilers, now is your chance to scroll on. We do have some conversations happening around the house today. The Jason situation is a topic of conversation. However, if I'm being honest, Melody is kind of considering this again, but I just don't see Drew and Barrett necessarily getting on board with this plan, and they would absolutely need Drew and Barrett plus Yash to be on board for this, and I just don't see them convincing those three people to end up switching up their votes. However, the very interesting scenario that we have would be the scenario of Jason winning the blockbuster and Mallory and Lala being on the block together. If this is the outcome we have, this could end up being a really sticky vote situation. And a lot of it comes down to Taylor and Yash and where they're going to vote. It's a really interesting situation because Dee, Angela, and Devons are trying to do all of these little schemes to try and catch up Drew and Barrett in a situation, but they're doing it in a way where they're kind of reliant on Kamu being the one to lay down the law with how this vote is going to go as the HOH, and Kamu's not necessarily doing that. So really, as far as Drew and Barrett know right now, because of the lies that the icons have given them, they're good to keep Mallory. So that's how they're planning on voting in this scenario, which would then just leave the vote down to Taylor and Yash. If both Taylor and Yash can vote to keep Mallory in the game, that would be the outcome that happens. It would not be a tie. However, Taylor this morning is really kind of starting to backpedal on this for a couple of reasons. Number one, Taylor is somewhat aligned with Devon's and Kamu. We talked over the weekend about her tether plan. They decided to ditch that plan, but did try and lock in something with the three of just them. And it's not an official alliance, but just an agreement that they're going to work together throughout the game. So Devons did talk to Taylor yesterday and said that the plan is to either get rid of Jason or Mallory. The other thing is, Taylor this morning is feeling like if she is someone that votes out Lala, then it's going to look bad on her character to other people in the house. And she literally said this to Melody and Mallory both. So they know now that Taylor is not a for sure vote for them. And Mallory and Melody know that even though Angela, Dee, and Devons have said that they are going to vote in Mallory's favor, that it's not something they can really depend on. Drew and Barrett seem way more dependent on trusting them than the girls do, for obvious reasons. So Mallory and Melody are really, really mad at Taylor in this moment, and they're saying that they're going to talk to her again and tell her that if you end up not voting for Mallory, you're going to end up losing a lot of allies, which I don't think is necessarily untrue, because they even tried to talk to Jason about this. Jason is under the impression that Taylor is still planning on voting with them. Like, it's really turning into a very, very messy situation right now with the Taylor situation. Melody did say she wants to be able to talk to Yash alone, because Yash was in the conversation where Taylor shared her concerns about voting for Mallory. And he just kind of like was listening. He didn't really chime in much. So Melody wants to have a conversation with him. If we end up in a situation where Jason is the winner of the blockbuster, we might have an interesting vote on our hands. But it's still early in the Waffle Wednesday day, so we'll see what ends up happening, see if anything changes. Make sure you hit the follow button, because I will be sure to let you know if it does. If Jason pulls out another blockbuster win, we are in for a very, very close vote. Yash has been telling both sides that he's going to vote with them, and I have no idea which way he actually is going to vote. Taylor earlier today said she didn't think she could evict Lala, but Jason just talked to her and maybe convinced her otherwise, but still undecided. We're definitely going to have to keep a close watch on it, and I'm really nervous for this one if Jason wins tomorrow.